What's up guys, my name is Reason, I'm a Grandmaster player, and today I'll be going over some Ana gameplay on Hollywood. And if you want to watch hundreds of other detailed guides from professionals and top 500 players, visit GameLeap.com by clicking the link below. Now, let's get started. So we're going to be running this game with the Zenyatta. Zenyatta and Ana are actually a really strong combo. If you can keep your Zenyatta alive as Ana, he becomes a glass cannon. That is to say that although he has low mobility, which can make him an easy target, if you're pocketing him, it's not an issue. Zenyatta does the same damage as McCree in one-on-one. Tie that in with team fights, his Discord applies to all teammates. So he's a really strong hero if you can keep him alive. In this game you're going to see a lot of Sombra trying to dive him, and me trying to keep him alive. If you do that as Ana in your comp games, you're going to have a lot higher chance of winning them. So my teammates are full health, so I'm immediately going in to try to damage the Zenyatta. This is something that you'll find is consistent with Ana in almost all scenarios. You want to be as aggressive as possible. So use all of your abilities, all of your auto attack, your left click, use everything as offensively as possible, heal when you need to. Because if you're anti-ing their whole team, it's a lot more value actually than just healing yours. If you deny healing to their teammates, it's like you've killed both of their supports for a temporary amount of time. It's a huge advantage. So if you take advantage of when you're being aggressive, you won't need to heal as much, and when you do need to heal, if you have good healing management, you'll have more time to be aggressive, which will make it so you actually don't need to heal as much. So it compounds. And this is an example of one of those things that just stack up for you. So as you get better at supporting and managing, like your left clicks for example, managing healing, hitting shots, the easier it is to use your nade offensively, which in turn makes managing healing easier. The better you get at something, the easier everything else will get too. Alright, so now that we've got the point, I'm telling my teammates to push up while I push the cart. Generally, this is what you want to do anytime you win a fight. You want to push your advantage, because if the enemy team does not regroup properly, then you can catch a straggler, and if they do regroup, then you get free space and should be able to take up good positions. So like if you have your Widowmaker or whatever, you can get them high ground, etc. And you really don't need 3 on payload unless it's going to really come down to that. Like right now, the enemy team's going to get another fight regardless, right? Even if you have 3 on payload, they're going to get another fight before the checkpoint. So you don't really need to worry too much about how many people you have on point unless it's going to really come down to that, which it usually does not. So unfortunately, the Sombra was able to get a hack off on me in time, but I'm still able to play around the payload and just use that to LOS her primary fire while my teammates come back to help me and to wait for the hack to wear off. But anytime that Sombra hacks you, you generally want to press shift to get your sleep dart out before you even see the Sombra, before you even acquire as a target, because there's a delay when you press shift. And the delay is actually pretty significant. So you press shift, and then you turn around, and then you hit the Sombra as your sleep dart comes out. You need to be fast to pull this off, but if you practice this, then you should be able to do it pretty consistently. One thing you can do is start a custom game, put all the cooldowns on 0, get some Anabots or something because they have a really small hitbox, and just practice looking away from them, pressing shift, turning around, trying to hit one. Just practice that over and over again. And once you get it more consistent, then you can be more confident doing it in your comp games. And this strat is really good to do because if you hit a sleep dart on the Sombra, she can't translocate out. And so it's technically like a one-shot kill if you think about it, and your teammates are there to follow up with it. Even if not, you can get the Sombra really low, get all charged for yourself, and protect yourself. So every time the Sombra is coming up behind me or my Zen, I'm calling out to my teammates. You can't hear the voice comms in the video, but every time, you always call out your teammates. Sombra behind, help the backline, we're being dove in the backline, stuff like that. That doesn't necessarily mean people need to appeal for you, because there may be better things for them to do, but it's information that's critical. It helps your teammates make good decisions. I botched that grenade and that actually let the McCree die. It's my mistake there. So I'm just letting my teammates know that we're down in McCree, but we do have Blade and Grav coming up. And we want to watch out for their tanks ultimates as well, because it has been a little while. Both teams have probably built some ults by now. So there's their trance. If I can get a nade in there, it denies all the healing for the Transcend, completely counters his ultimate, which is, in my opinion, the most powerful ultimate in the game. Maybe next to EMP. EMP is pretty strong. So I'm going to take this time just to talk about some kill combos with Ana. They're important to know for your 1v1s, so you can know what your cutoffs are, what your win condition is for the 1v1. So Ana's left click does 70 damage and 75 healing, which means 3 shots will kill. any 200 HP hero. 3 body shots, that's all you need. With the nade as well, you only need to get 2 body shots in. So if you do a body shot, nade, then body shot, that'll kill 200 HP hero. You can kill him very quickly, actually. So right now the enemy has a line of sight on me, so I'm trying to play out of her line of sight to avoid the headshot. I'm calling to my teammates, I'm being pinned down by her. So I'm just trying to play out of her line of sight for a little bit, because I'm actually not under pressure from the Widow. As long as I'm like out of her line of sight, she actually isn't pressuring me. She's the one under pressure. So like she has to get a pick on me, and the longer that time goes on, the more advantage I have, because my teammates are cleaning up her team, right? So over time, we're gonna get back on payload, and you see my McCree actually gets a sight line on her, so she can't peek that anymore, and I'm able to come back safely. So Sombra's EMP not only disables all abilities, but it also destroys all shields. So if your Reinhardt has a shield up, that 2000 berry immediately goes to 0 and on cooldown. If your Zenyatta is anywhere near the EMP, he loses all of his personal shields as well. Same with Azaria. So Zenyatta is the first target the Sombra is going to go for as soon as she EMPs, because he goes down to 50 HP. So as Ana, I'm trying to keep my Zen alive. It's a consistent theme, but trying to keep the Zen alive. As soon as the EMP goes off, I immediately switch to him because I know he's going to be the one targeted. And so I'm going to left click him unscoped, because that's actually the fastest healing per second on Ana. Scoped in's a little bit slower, even though it is hit scan. So there's a trade-off. So I'm left clicking him with projectile, unscoped, and throwing a nade onto him. As well, there's also a delay between switching between your unscoped left click projectile and your scoped in hit scan healing. So you want to pick one and stick with it. But yeah, if you're close enough to the projectile consistently, it is just by definition the fastest way to heal. So as we close out the team fight here, another general tip I can give you is, as a support, one of the best things that you can do is to just stay alive. It's really, really important. You need to value your life very highly when you're playing support, and consider playing more passively depending on how you're playing now. Don't take huge risks, especially on defense, because you dying is one of the worst things that can happen next to losing your main tank. So let's talk about positioning real quick with Ana. I'm setting up here to try to get a nade in, but the Rhine is aware of me, so he's shielding against it. But playing in this position is actually really good, because all it takes is the enemy Rhine to not anticipate me going for a nade like this, and me staying relatively out of sight, and then it should be a one team fight just automatically. Because if they're playing stacked up like this in a deathball comp, you should be able to get a huge nade in pretty easily, which effectively makes it like the enemy has no supports. They won't be able to heal anything. Rotate back early if you do try this and it doesn't work out, so that way you get behind your Reinhardt shield before the enemy pushes the front line around. And if you're not going to go for this, or once you get back rotated to your team, in my opinion, the best place for Ana to set up on this map, on First Hollywood, for defense is underneath of Cafe, playing in and out of that doorway, because it should give you a shielding from the Rhine, from the enemy front line, while also allowing you to see all your teammates and reducing angles from enemy flankers, and allowing you to stay centered to get support if you do get dove, to get peeling. So you want to be low and out of sight, be a challenge for the enemy DPS to even spot, reduce angles. So one tip for Ana's healing that you can take advantage of is, even if teammate is antied, you can still shoot them just before the anti wears off. Because number one, your left click is a projectile when you're not scoped in, so it will take time to get to them anyway. And number two, the healing is over time. So even if you shoot them right before the anti wears off, the healing will start happening even if the first little bit doesn't happen. So you'll still get the bit from the second. So you can actually heal them almost instantly the moment the anti comes off, by predicting when it's about to come off. Another really valuable tip that I can give for Ana gameplay is to call out any time that you're reloading. It lets teammates know that there's less healing available for that moment. I actually call it out a little bit before I reload. So like when I'm like 1 or 2 shots away from having to reload, I call it reloading. It's going to take time for me to say it, right? And it's going to take time for people to hear it and understand it, and then adjust their playstyle to accommodate it. So it's only like a couple seconds to reload, but it's quite a long time when you consider the normal amount of healing output from Ana when she's got her full clip. So call out when you reload, just say, I'm reloading. So unfortunately, their Sombra, although we kill her for it, gets a hack off on our Reinhardt, which fulfills the win condition for their team. They're able to get a gigantic shatter down onto all of us. So no big deal though. We're just going to keep playing consistently and keep giving our teammates the advantage and the opportunity to pop off. So I'm completely messing up this 1v1 with the Sombra. But the important thing is I'm in line of sight with my teammates and I have my nade up, so it wasn't a concern. So I should not be jumping too much here. The Widow has a sight on me, and it's going to get me killed actually in a minute here. I actually, at the very end, just before my last jump, I actually realized the mistake I was making by jumping and giving Widow LOS to my head. But my keyboard space is actually like really easy to press by accident. I actually pressed space by accident at the end. So I'm just letting my Genji know that I'm in line of sight to nano him right now. It's actually really, really helpful if you keep up comms with your Genji when you're trying to plan out a nano blade. Just like say I can see you, or I can't see anymore, hang on, the moment that you can't see him anymore. That way he doesn't have to worry about it. He can just know. So I go to nano him and the Zarya jumps in front of me right before that happens. So keeping in mind where your teammates are standing to prevent that from happening by accident is something that could maybe have prevented that. But to be fair, that was really unlucky, so. So I knew that Zarya has grab here, so I'm trying to throw an anti-nade into her to try to kill her or pressure her into using it at a bad time, like when we have trance up. But she actually uses it even though we didn't pressure her that hard. Like my anti-nade didn't get her. She had her bubble up. But yeah. If you're a Zarya, don't grab if they have trance up like that, unless you have an anti-nade or, yeah, if you either want to pressure this Zenyatta using trance early or you want to kill him. So I'm calling that they're going to EMP any second now because I've been tracking my mind that Sombra hasn't used her ult in a while. So I cut off line of sight just by going around the corner here to prevent myself from getting EMP'd, so I still have all my abilities up. And I'm able to nano my Zarya to save her a little bit. Something else you can do to help your Zaryas is, if you know that she has her friendly bubble up, you can jump in front of her to tank damage for her. Because her friendly bubbles will survive for up to 200 damage. So you have an effective 400 HP as Ana if her bubble is up, you can just jump in front. And you're immune to headshots as well, and sleep darts and other cooldowns. So that more play of the game right there. So Ana is the only support in the game that does not have passive self-healing. You know, Moira has Biotic Grasp, which when right-clicking an enemy will give her back healing per second. She doesn't just have to use the orb. Lucio has his healing song. Brigitte's Inspire when procced self-heals. Mercy heals when not under fire for just 1 second. And Zenyatta the same with his shields. When not under fire for 3 seconds, they regen. So Ana is dependent on her nade and her off support to keep her health up. So as soon as my Zenyatta is finished dealing with the Sombra, I'm letting him know that I'm low on health. I wait till he's finished the engagement because I want him to focus on hitting his shots because he was at more of a risk than I was at, a risk of dying. So as soon as he's done with that, then I let him know. But yeah, letting your off support know when you're low is really important when you're playing Ana. And this can allow you to use your biotic grenades more offensively than for, you know, their worst use, which is self-healing. But you do use it for self-healing in some situations, right? You don't want to die, obviously. So we're planning around the Sombra having EMP, so I'm playing back for my team a little bit, blocking line of sight. I was out of the area of effect anyway, but blocking line of sight just in case. And I threw my nade in the middle of our grab to amp healing for our trance. So nade doesn't just do a flat healing for your teammates; it allows them to receive an extra 50% healing from all sources. So there's the full ult, so we definitely can win this game now. Or at least draw it. I'm pretty sure we're gonna win it. So coming out of spawn door, it's important to remember that Especially if the enemy team's in a position like this where they're playing for a draw, they might be playing really cheesy. So watch out for a Widow headshot through the door, fire strike, junk rat trap, any of that stuff. So there, my McCree was in a position where he was about to die, and so was my Zen. So what I was doing there is using my nade for instant healing on the McCree, and immediately turning to pocket the Zen, because I knew the Zen would need pocketing. Alright, and that's going to do it for my Grandmaster on a guide. I hope that you got something out of it. Remember that if you want to see hundreds of other guides just like this one, made by top 500 professionals, you can click the link below to GameLeap.com. Make sure to like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to our channel.